The zombies in The Sadness are the horniest zombies that I have ever seen. Probably until you absolute psychopaths recommend another film. Is it also one of the goriest films I've ever seen and the sickest? Yes, it is. In this episode, instead of saying the R word, I'm probably going to say grape. Anyway, let's discuss The Sadness. This movie's title, The Sadness, in no way, shape or form fits the aura that this movie gives to you. It should be called Rage Grape Zombies. It's one of those films that, when you're watching it, you're in disgust, but at the same time, you're also looking at it saying that's beautiful because it's all practical effects and it looks phenomenal. It looks that good that it does make you feel a little woozy looking at it. And a film's done a really good job when it does that to you. So what are these zombies in The Sadness? It's not like they're dead. It explains in this that they are fully aware of themselves. But they've got a rage and a need to grape and do anything that's violent. It feels like a need, like a drug. And it says that they do most likely know that what they're doing is disgusting and horrific, but they can't help it and they need to do it. And they're never satisfied and they just keep doing more and more and more. For instance, in this film, there is a scene where a bunch of teenagers are beating the living heck out of a guy, but this chap in the background sees it and he comes to help them. They pick this guy up and they put barbed wire around this pole and slam his tallywhacker into it. And then this guy comes, fights all the kids off, they run away, and then he unwraps the barbed wire from the chap that's on the floor, and the guy goes, something like, "Why did you stop? I was about to come." And you think, oh shit, is it on it with these kids? The kids come out, they have a big fight, but that's pretty much to the extent of, gives you a rough idea of how brutally violent and sick this film is. I don't really pride myself on accuracy, but I'm just going to do this woman, and I don't know her name, she is on the screen, and, she's basically, this story just follows her and her journey through trying to escape these grape rage zombies. And she meets this girl, and it sickened me. She meets this girl on a train, and this train scene it's probably the greatest horror scene in a train I have ever seen, especially for practical effects. You need to see this film, even though it might disgust you watching it, but you need to see it just for this train scene. It's phenomenal. And anyway, this guy that gets this rage disease puts an umbrella through this poor young girl's eye, pulls it out, and the eye's on the end of his umbrella. And the other woman that I just told you about earlier saves that, and they escape. They get out, and then they takes this. Then they go to a hospital, and you think, oh, everything's nice and dandy now. He saved the girl, and she's getting wheeled off in a wheelchair, and she stops her and thanks her for saving her life. And then the guy from earlier that, stabbed her in the face, pulled her eye out, turns up, pulls his pants off, and starts graping her in the eye hole. It's horrific. And yet, I actually thought she was going to be one of the main survivors with this other woman. And it's very, oh man, I couldn't believe it. One of them scenes where actually I was watching it, my wife walked in. It's like, whoa, oh shit, Miss Massacre walked straight. And then, I had to turn it, I press pause, that's what I pressed. I can't have those beautiful, innocent eyes seeing such atrocities on screen. The Sadness won't win any awards when it comes to story. It's just your generic, zombie movie, but these are different. They're not technically not zombies, so you do get it does feel refreshing watching it. And again, it's a masterpiece when it comes to practical effects. It's arguably one of the best modern horror films, best looking ones for practical effects. It will blow your mind when you see it, and it's something you have to see if you like the red stuff. When it comes to grape in this, you don't see it. It's kind of a cutaway kind of thing, or you see it like the top half of the body. You don't see anything. There's not a lot of nudity. Well, what's happening is horrific, but you don't see a lot. So please don't let that put you off watching it. Even though horror is horror, it's supposed to have horror in it. But even for me, seeing grape in film, there's no need for it. It can insinuate without showing you. A lot of films, but they don't, unfortunately. And I feel like horror today is leaning more into that now, slowly. So it's phasing out, which is a really good thing for horror and horror fans.
Are there any tallywhackers in this film, though?
Not that I can recall. Not that I can recall, mate. The Sadness gives a feeling of, I want to try and make a familiarity with you. I'd say 28 Days Later and Resident Evil. It does have a doom and gloom feel to it straight from the get-go, because this is horrific. It is a pure horror film. No, doesn't even deliver dark humor. It's pure dark horror at its core. So anyway, cutting back to the woman from earlier, she ends up escaping getting to a room within the hospital, I believe, and it gets shut off, and she finds this scientist, and the scientist decided to kill all of the babies, inject them with something that turned him into this rageful zombie, because he's trying to make a cure. And I think you find out that she cannot get the virus or whatever, and then they try to escape because a helicopter come in. The evil scientist gets killed like you do in zombie films. Her boyfriend turns up, he's a zombie, and she asks him, because they've got a door in between them, she says, what does it feel like? Because like I said earlier, these zombies are aware, they can talk, they've just got a need to do what they do, an obsessive need for it. And she says, what does it feel like? And he says, it feels great, it feels wonderful. And he says, I just need to be with you. I feel like I need to be with you, and I need to cut your tits off and smash your face in. That's what he tells her. It's nuts. And then she kind of starts crying, and then she goes up the steps, opens the door. You don't see her walk out of the door. I believe you hear a gunshot, so it questions if she's been killed or not, which is bad, because I was talking to my friend Jez, because we watched it together with a few friends, and we were discussing that we felt like, you made a good point, that zombie films are really hard to end for. And then we were saying, like, probably the only good one that was shocking was Night of the Living Dead. And, with Ben being the survivor, kicking ass, and then he just gets killed. It's depressing. And zombie films should feel depressing, in my opinion, anyway. And that one does feel depressing. Feels like doom and gloom, like there's no way out. People aren't going to survive this. You are screwed. You're up shit creek without a paddle, and it's just diarrhea, and it's coming into your boat, and you're not getting out. It's going to touch your skin, and you're gonna need to sanitize. Well, yeah, I do believe The Sadness is on Shudder, and you can check it out online or whatever. Not on those dodgy websites though. You know what I mean? HBO Max and whatever. I think just check it out. It is worth watching if you are a hardcore horror fan. But if you're a hardcore horror fan and you appreciate the movie making aspects of films, like you appreciate looking at practical effects that look real, horrific. So when I was watching it, I had a smile on my face, and I was giggling, saying, "Oh, that looks awesome." But I didn't mean it in the way that the kills are happening. It's looking horrific. It was how it visually looked, and because of the work they put in to how it looks, to making you feel disgusted and entertained at the same time. And it does a phenomenal job of that. Also, the soundtrack at the end is it is incredible. Anyway, speaking of music, this music in the background is my band's new single. You can find it on Spotify. Just check it out in the description below. And that's it for today. I hope you've had a fantastic Halloween season. I love you all. Join our fucking cult, City.
Get everyone!